Good morning, Trading Together. I'm Mel Gacee. Today is Wednesday, June 17th. How's everybody doing today? If you're here this morning, I just want to welcome you, ask you to drop your name in the chat, say hi, get to know each other. If you have questions or comments, if you're a new trader, if you're an experienced trader, this is a free live day trading purposes. So I'm going to take some trades if we get the right setup. And that's going to be, I'm going to talk through what my thought process is, why I'm getting in, why I'm getting out. And that is going to be for your education. If you choose to follow, absolutely, but just do that at your own risk. Okay. All right. Val is here this morning. Alyssa is here. Good morning. Good morning. And happy FOMC Day. We've got announcements coming up here in a few hours, about 2 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be watching for that. Good morning, Tom. Good to see you. Nick is here. Hello, hello. All right. A little nervous about buying calls again after that drop. You want to know something funny? Nick, I happened to be, you know how I load my trades and I watch for the movement. I happened to be let me get to my screen because it's hiding from me right now. There we go. So yeah, right here, I was watching this climb, but hitting the VWAP and the MACD wasn't rolling over. So I was kind of just waiting. And right here, I was holding puts, waiting for a turn down. No, I didn't expect this, right? I was holding puts. And as soon as I saw that bar hit, boom, I jumped in and jumped out immediately for 20%. So that was, I don't usually get 20%. As you guys know, I'm a big proponent of take your small and be happy. But every now and then you get a little bit of a home run. So that was good. Yeah, so I don't blame you there, Nick. There's some negativity. And I'll tell you what has kind of skewed my view this morning is this big dump going on SpaceX right now. We've got SpaceX dropping 5% down to 191 from, it was trading in the 200s this morning. It was up another day. It's been up every day since the IPO. And today is the first negative day we've had. And if you all did remember, I did warn you about IPOs. Now, you know, if you traded it, great. If you jumped in and jumped out, that's fantastic. I told you all I wasn't going to touch it. And here's why. Right now, I believe retail is the exit liquidity for SpaceX. So that is what I think. And, you know, I think it's a great company. I love the fact that he has taken something that was, you know, traditionally a government thing, NASA thing, and turned it into, you know, this whole commercial company. I love that. I think that's so innovative and so brave and so out of the box thinking. But I told you all, I'm not touching that IPO with a 10-foot pole, and I wouldn't, right? And here we are dropping a good bit. So that kind of gave me the heads up this morning, along with a few other things I noticed. Meta had some big dark pool on it yesterday, like hundreds of millions of dark pool. And with dark pool, you can't always know whether it's up or down. You don't know if it's a buy or a sell. You just know the level that orders were placed at. So you have to kind of guess. So I was keeping my eye on Meta this morning, and I saw the immediate drop this morning on Meta. So I said, all right, that dark pool might have been a sell. And sure enough, Meta has dropped now below 3%. So I did trade a put on Meta this morning. And so these two things kind of together have kind of, I've been, there's some weakness here. We did get a nice climb right here. We got this really nice climb this morning, right? So we came down, came up, came down, came up nicely, very nice climb. And then whoosh, we got that long drop down. So I felt a little bit of weakness this morning, and then combined with what SpaceX is doing, now 6% down. I don't know where this thing is going to bottom. And compare, looking at this big negative sell on Meta, I was like, I don't know about today. It might be a negative day. And so far, that is what it's turning out to be. Nothing horrible. We're only down, 12 points right now. But there is one more thing that I'm keeping in my mind. Do you guys remember when we talked about the ghost wicks? So we had this long pre-market ghost wick that appeared yesterday pre-market, or the day before. Anyway, at 7:41. I marked that on my charts, and I let you guys know that those do usually get hit the same day or a day after they appear. And so all of those things kind of combined, I've been kind of like, ugh, feels like there might be some weakness here. And then we've got FOMC coming up here in a couple of hours. So that is kind of what I was thinking. Fantastic. Good morning, Maria. Good to see you. And Nick saying, I bought calls in the middle of the drop on the MACD rollover and accidentally doubled down for a dollar cost average. Ooh, did it work okay? Did you do okay? Worked out? Okay, good. Jeff is here. Good morning, Jeff. And Nick is asking, how do you track dark pool? Is it unusual whales? I did see that dark pool on unusual whales. And I do also have Cheddar Flow, which also tries to track dark pool. And I said this on the previous stream. I'll say it again here. I've tested out a few platforms. So Unusual Whales, Cheddar Flow. I was doing Tradie Ticks for a while. And I've never been able to get dark pool to match from one platform to another. So I am a little bit skeptical about how accurate it is. But when I see big hundreds of millions of dollars, I'm like, well, all right, I'll take a little chance on that. And so that is what I did today. I did pretty good on that meta put. But yeah, that is one place to look, Nick, is Unusual Whales, or also Cheddar Flow has dark pool. All right. So getting a weak kind of a drop here. We are sitting at about 15 points down. If we get another push down here, I might consider puts. It would be a little riskier because we do have a temporary bottom right now. We have a low at 747. So we're a little close to that. And so right now, the line that we are testing is the overnight low. We're getting a little bounce right here. We're well below the VWAP, but they're trying to hold the overnight low. VIX is giving us a small climb. We haven't gone super far. but we did pop up to 17 on that really fast drop, that big red candle. We did get a pop up to 17. So that's the highest we've seen in a couple of days. Oof, SpaceX down 7%. It is tanking, guys. I almost want to get a put on SpaceX. They're ridiculous price though. The options price on SpaceX are ridiculous. Nick is never going to short Elon. He says one tweet and it's back up again. Kind of like Trump, right? The power of the tweets. All right, so we are currently in a bit of a downward trend on the minute chart, micro trend, coming down, but holding a bottom. So if we break this structure, this downward structure, then we could continue on up. If this is just another lower high, then we could see another move down. So I'll be watching that. $188 on SpaceX. Oof, oof, oof. I feel sorry right now for all the bag holders. I really, really do. All right, there's a strong push. We are breaking structure here. We're coming up to the low of day from yesterday. Let's see if we can reclaim that. All right, testing low of day from yesterday. This is a strong push, several green candles, 2, 4, 6 green candles in a row so far. So nice strong push there off of the overnight low. And the VIX is moving down a little bit with this push up. VIX sitting at 16.85. Emmy says hi. She likes to hold my hand. All right, there's a little slowdown finally. So it's important to notice that the VIX actually has not broken structure yet. So the VIX has been in a climb, meaning that the market has been coming down. So the SPY is actually trying to break structure here. The VIX hasn't done that yet. No real drop just yet. A small drop, yes, right here, but no real drop yet. So we need to see the VIX drop some more. All right, there's a good push right there. We're also seeing the Qs pushing up through their VWAP. So this is a strong push off that bottom, right back up into almost positive territory. We're about 4 points away from the flat line. And I call the flat line that area where we opened today compared to yesterday's close. Good morning, BD. Good morning, Guy. Happy FOMC to you. So if anybody here has not traded through an FOMC, I just want to caution you, it's the Wild West. It is, can be. It doesn't have to be. There have been plenty that have been very low key, but most of them have a lot of volatility. We get major spikes up and down both directions. And there are two pieces of the FOMC that are going to get the market's attention. The first is the actual rate decision. Now, for this meeting, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that we are not going to get a rate cut or a rate hike. We're going to remain the same. Rates are going to stay where they are at. The second part of the FOMC meetings is the press conference. So this will be the first meeting for Kevin Warsh. He is the new Fed chair, and he will be introducing himself to the press today. I imagine trying to get to know his fellow board members, committee members today. And he will be addressing the press. That will be a big deal for the market. The market wants to know who this guy is. Is he a Trump lackey who's just going to, roll over and try to push rate cuts? Or is he, kind of a hawk in hiding and he's going to push rate hikes? Who is this guy and how is he going to try to run the show? That's going to be super important for the market to try to figure out today. So the first piece, the 2 p.m. piece, we may get some jitters, but probably nothing, not much. The second piece comes at 2:30 Eastern, where Kevin begins to address the press. That is going to be where the market is really going to listen and pay attention to what he has to say. They're going to try to read between the lines, and they're going to make some decisions about who this guy is. That could spark big movements in the market. If he says one thing that even smells a little bit like rate hikes, the market is probably going to react poorly. If he talks about, wanting to cut the rates some more and he comes out very dovish, the market is really going to like that. I don't expect him to do either, to be honest. I expect him to play his cards close to the vest and just kind of, hey, I'm Kevin, nice to meet you kind of thing. But who knows? We don't know. the market will be jittery. It will be on pins and needles, waiting to hear what this guy has to say. So if you've never traded through an FOMC, be aware that it is, like I said, the Wild West. It can ping up and down 100 points in 10 seconds and slam it back down again. And it can, throw it around like a super ball. We don't know. Usually on any FOMC day, we can see that kind of pinging behavior, and then it settles into a direction. So I would not recommend holding positions going into the FOMC if you're day trading them. If it's, long-term positions or whatever, that's different. But if you're swing trading or day trading some positions, be careful. I would not necessarily want to be holding anything. I usually am flat going into these things, and I usually wait for the dust to settle a little bit to see where we're going. So that's my advice to you. Be careful. Don't trade the announcement itself. Wait for the market to settle into a direction, and try to be flat if you can. Okay? Washing machine. That's funny. Wash sale memes. You guys are funny. That is funny. Eyes on the new Fed chair. That's right, guy. That's exactly right. All eyes on the new Fed chair. All right. So we are now just playing around over here by the low of day from yesterday. That's this blue line right there. So we've been kind of toggling right between these lines, this overnight low and yesterday's low. If we come back up and reclaim the VWAP, we could consider calls, although I will say I am leaning a little bit more negative, especially with the way SpaceX is behaving today. I'm leaning a little more negative than positive. Now that doesn't mean to trade that. It just means that's kind of my picture right now in my head. That doesn't change the fact that we always have to trade the charts. If my head has it wrong, the charts are always right. So that's important to remember. All right, our VIX is not breaking structure. Take a look. Not breaking structure. Still slowly grinding, very slowly grinding. And we're just moving sideways along this low of day line. So we'll be patient and see what direction we want to go in. I'm not trading anything right now. A strong push up through the VWAP might be a call. If we come down here, would I trade from here to the overnight low? It's tight. Let's see, 96 to, it's tight. Could we make money on a put here if they dropped it down? Yes, but it would be tight. So it'd be a little bit risky. I'd have to be careful. All right, there's a push. VIX is saying we're negative. SPY is saying we might be positive. So there's a little, okay, all right, here comes a move. I'm going to load puts here at 750 strike. Is that right? Yeah, 750 strike. We don't have a break yet. I'm not trading it yet. I'm just kind of getting ready for puts. Right now, there's no direction. We're sort of floating in this sideways zone. Guy's saying he had a great morning trading, out flat and happy. Good guy. Glad to hear it. I've had a pretty good morning myself. Getting a little pop on the VIX, just a little one. Look at this slow, grindy grind. Tiny little green candles on the VIX. Slow, grindy grind. No break yet. No break to the downside yet. First little teeny red candle here on the VIX in several minutes. Just still kind of hovering right here. There's a bit of a green candle here, bit of a push. A little bit of red on the VIX. Wishy-washy. Oh, all of the wash. It's all coming out now. That's funny. All right, that's a quick red candle there. I want to see it. It's got, look at all these long lower wicks. So I want to see it actually come down here and beat these. You can see it a little more clearly on the Qs, how they're just holding that little sideways level. So I'm not trading it until I see that break, up or down. $16.90 on the VIX. Okay. There's a pop. There we go. Let's see if they push it up through the VWAP here. strong push there. All right, now the VIX is dropping a bit. VIX is giving us a signal. We could pivot over to calls here if we push up through the VWAP. Those would be at 750 strike. And we are pushing. All right, I'm going to try a quick call here. I hope it's not too late. I am in, punch it. Hope it's not too late for a call because it's been moving up for a while. Emmy, I'm not sure she agrees with me. Do you agree with me? Calls? Calls? Yeah? Mm. No. Maybe she disagreed with me. I don't like that. There we go. That's better. I'm going to jump out at a break even here. Punch it. I'm out. All right. Craig is here. Good morning. I'm going to pivot over to puts at the 751 strike. I'm not in them. It could keep climbing. Let's see. I just don't like this little hesitation here. Coming back down. Let's see if we break the VWAP. All right. Craig missed it. Review the entry. Just pushed, it pushed up through the VWAP here and I jumped into a call. And then we started getting some hesitation here and I jumped out at a break even. All right, coming back down. A little pop on the VIX again. No break of the VWAP yet. SpaceX recovering a little bit, down about 4%. At one point, it was down, I think, 7 or 8% today. So recovering a little bit. That's interesting. Sitting at 194. All right, here's a push. There it goes. All right, do you have signals to buy? We're just up over our flat line. We're up about 2 points over the flat line on the ES. Qs are still kind of holding their own at about 0.5, elevated 0.47. The Qs seem to be fighting a little bit more with their VWAP than we are. There we go. There we go. There we go. So I'm holding puts at 751. Not in yet. Here's a break of the VWAP. Hi, David. Good to see you. Little pop on the VIX, 16.87. We don't quite have the roll on the MACD yet. I'd really like it if they'd give us a little push first. Almost like they read my mind. There we go. BD, call strike 750, 245 out at 260, waited for the pullback to the 9, then entered. Been a very hard day for me to trade. I feel you, BD, but I'm glad you got a win there. David, think we'll get this up over 752. It feels weak to me today, David, and we've got FOMC coming, so I would not bet on it, but I could be wrong. They could really push it up. especially at FOMC. They really could push it hard at FOMC. We don't know. Or they could drop it hard. I feel a little bit more bearish than bullish today, but that's just my sentiment. It doesn't have to be right. All right, BD, back to break even. Okay, good. Hey, break even I consider that a win. All right, David, in at 750 also, but at 264. Okay, I'm guessing you mean 750 calls and you paid 264. Let's see what those are going for. 750 calls are going for 249 on the bid. That's not bad. That's not too bad. You're not hurting too bad. All right, we're just kind of hovering right here on the VWAP. That's the white line right there. That's the VWAP. We're just kind of, as you can see, hovering on it. Not a strong recapture. It did push, but then came right back down to it. So, and our VIX is also sitting on its support line. So VIX isn't going too far up or down right now. All right, Craig, would be interested to hear any background you can provide on your new indicator, the one that beeps, how it's triggered. Yeah, Craig, basically it's looking at the things that I normally talk about, the MACD, the VWAP, the moving averages. That's what it's looking at. And it gives a little ascending tone. It goes doo 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 when we're going up, and when we're going down, or when it thinks we are, it says doo doo doo. So I built a little dashboard using Claude, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Aw, thank you. All right, so we're not really recapturing the VWAP here, even though we did have that nice strong move off the bottom. There's no commitment here to recapture yet. That doesn't mean we won't get a nice push upward, but right now it's definitely not. It's sitting right on it. It's just sitting right on it. And in the case of the Qs, it's been more of a rejection. See how that looks? So the Qs are the ETF over the NASDAQ, and it's been kind of beating the VWAP, but rejecting, beating, rejecting, beating, rejecting. Whereas we've kind of come up over it and tried to hold on to it, the Qs have been rejecting. So let's see if the Qs push up and really grab a hold of it. Maybe we'll be moving up here. That would help your calls, David. Let's see. Craig, missed the first part of the stream. Did you see a trade entry between 11:10 and 11:15? I took a trade, Craig. I took a call right over the cross of the VWAP. Oh, at 11:10. You're asking if I actually saw an entry? I mean, that would have been a nice entry right there. But honestly, I didn't take it, and I wouldn't have taken it with that strong downtrend there. Yes, you're not wrong. There's a MACD rollover here, and we do get this really nice green candle run all the way back up to the VWAP. So we could have traded that. I would not have traded it just because of the negativity of the move down. And I was waiting for the cross of the VWAP, which I did trade, and then got out here at a break even because I could see them just horsing around. They were just horsing around here. So I took my break even and got out. And I'm actually glad that I did, even if they pop it from here, because look at how many minutes I would have been sitting in there while they suck out the value. So I'm actually glad I took the break even and got out. Current market is a tumble dry low. Yes. Yeah. Not a lot of volume right now. It's not a lot of volume. But speaking of volume, what have we got? We've got the highest volume sitting on the put side at the 750 put strike, followed by the 749. And the calls are sitting at 751. So when you see that, when you see the volume balanced on both sides, usually that's just telling you we're in a range. So let's see if they can push it up through the top of that range. Nick with the puns today about wash, saying that would be a wash and dry. That's funny. All right. Beating this top here, it looks like. The other one I'm keeping my eye on right here is this top on the Qs. It's a little bit more clear than this one. The SPYs are kind of trying to look like they're moving upward, higher highs, right? Which they are. But the Qs are not really making that look. They're making a triple top look. If you see it, right, there's a reject, and then if we reject here, that'll be a triple top, a try 3 times to break up through here. So I'm keeping my eye on that. I'm not really trusting the upward move yet. Oh, Craig is the one with the wash and dry pun. Good one, Craig. All right, my little indicator thinks it's time to buy. I don't know. I don't know if I believe it. We've got a MACD rolling up. Trying to. It was trying to. There it is. Right there. It's just trying to peek out there. What do you think? Calls? All right. It's giving us a push. We could consider the calls here at 750 strike. No real strength yet. The VIX did give us a nice little move down. The Qs are trying. You're right. You are right, Nick. The Qs are trying. David wants us to keep going green. I hope so for your calls there, David. Nope. Not yet. Yeah, Craig wants to know what I'm looking at on the tick. And Nick also follows the tick. That's this chart right here. And I've drawn lines on my tick chart. Let me make it a little bigger. And I'll zoom in on this SPY so we can keep an eye here. I'm actually going to pivot back to puts again at the 751 strike. I'm not in them. I'm just getting the order ready in case I want to jump in. MACD tried to go green there for a second, and look how it got rejected. Tick tells me when people get too greedy. Yeah, or too fearful, Nick, both directions. I'm just watching this put here, Craig, and then I'm going to get to the tick. There's some strength in that down move there. Our VIX has given us some upward movement. That triple top is still in play on the Qs. All right, there's a push. So, Craig, on my tick chart, I have 5 lines drawn. I have the 0 line, so it's dollar tick, and it's charted as a symbol. It's not an indicator, although there are some indicators I think that are built on the tick. This is an actual symbol. So I have the 0 line with yellow. I have a 600 mark positive and 1,000 mark positive. I have a 600 mark negative and 1,000 mark negative. Usually my experience is the tick tries to stay in this 600 zone. Sometimes we get reversals when we hit the 600. So I mark that. But usually you can almost guarantee a reversal when you hit the negative 1,000 or the positive 1,000. Now, that doesn't mean you'll necessarily see a huge price reversal. You'll see some kind of a price reversal, and the tick tries to reset itself. When it hits 1,000, or positive or negative, you will see the tick try really hard to reset itself. Sometimes that's just a few little candles on the price. So you can't always trade just on the tick. But in general, the tick is based on the whole NYSE. So every order that's placed is creating a tick. And this tick chart is accumulating, or it's aggregating the ticks. And so as the ticks are moving up, the whole NYSE is buying, basically, is what it means. And when the ticks are moving down, the whole NYSE is selling. That doesn't always relate one for one to the SPY, but most of the time it does. When we hover at this 0 line like we've been doing, that's usually pretty clear indecision. So that will also give you kind of a clue that we are ranging. So that's really the basics of what I'm doing with the tick. I'm not really doing much more than that. Sometimes I'll come over here and sometimes you'll see, well, let's go look at that big red candle. What time was that? That was at 10:47 Eastern. So let's look at what the ticks did at 10:47 Eastern. Right there. Look how far down they came, all the way down to negative 837. So that's a pretty negative reading. And then, of course, bounced right back up because that's what the price did. But that's just an example. Sometimes you can see the ticks lead. Sometimes they're just a little bit ahead of the SPY. But not always. So it's just another way of kind of trying to gauge what the market is doing. That's basically all I use the ticks for. But great question, Craig. Thank you. All right, climbing now. But if you look at these cues, look at how they're really holding this level. They're really holding this level here. All right. BD, Mel, enjoy the rest of your day. Going to take the rest of today off due to FOMC prices rangy. Wish you the best. All right, BD. Well, I'm glad you broke even. I consider that a win. So good for you. And you have a great rest of your day as well. And Craig's saying thanks. You're welcome, Craig. All right, here is a little beat of this top. Is that right? Yep, that's a little beat of the top there. Now the SPY is starting to resemble this flat top here that the ticks that the cues have. But you can also see the VIX being very flat here, very sideways. So there's a couple of times that I felt a little bit faked out, right? A couple of times they pushed these green bars and these were all traps. Look at them. They pushed here, pulled it down. Big green bar here. That is worth what? 03 to 07. That's a 4 or 5 point bar. That's a good size. And then boom, pulled it back. Pushed 2 green bars here. Well, third, boom, pulled it back. So it feels just a bit trappy and rangy to me, like they're trying to sucker us into the calls. It feels like, I could be wrong. Maybe it turns and runs, but it does feel a little bit tricky right now, especially with the VIX just laying low, staying flat here. All right, there's a push. Lethargic volume. Yeah, volume low for sure. That is a higher high on the cues. It's higher than this mark here. All right, we are getting up to the end of the stream. I took one trade. It was a break even. Nothing major happening right now. And this is pretty common on a pre FOMC day. Maybe it does keep traveling up. I don't think I want any calls right now, honestly. Um, I'm going to probably, unless I see some pretty impressive moves, I may just stay flat until FOMC. Um, I don't want to trade this move here. I figure out what it's doing. Like a slow climb is what it's trying to do here. But I'm not going to buy it. I think I'm going to wait. I really don't want to be stuck sideways before FOMC. That's the one thing you just don't want. You don't want to buy into a range and then be holding a position moving into FOMC. So me personally, unless it's really something that gets my attention in a pretty big way, I'm going to stay out, I think, until FOMC. So be careful out there, trade safe. If you can, go flat before FOMC. Don't be holding something. Um, and good luck to you. And we will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. And let's see, Nick saying expensive from the Fed. Yeah, it is. And the VIX is coming up a little bit, right? So VIX is pushing 17 now. We're getting a little bit more volatility creeping in. So yeah, they're a little on the high side, 270 on the calls, 230 on the puts. So for per contract, so a little bit higher than usual. Oh, there goes the push. There we go. All right. That is a little push. I'm still not trading it. I'm gonna, as much as possible, try to stay flat until FOMC, which is in 2 hours. So, all right. And Maria wants to know if I'm gonna go live during FOMC. I thought about it, guys, and if there's a huge, or if you guys have a desire, if there's an interest in it, let me know. Otherwise, I probably won't. But if there's, a good interest, okay. Craig. Craig says yes. All right. Yeah, I can definitely go live during FOMC. I will probably Trump talking now, Rajenka. Thank you. And Maria says that would be great. Thank you, Maria. So it might be boring for you. What I will probably do is I'll probably have Kevin Warsh speaking. I want to hear what he has to say. And then if I start seeing some strong reactions to what he's saying, I will guide us, or talk through any trades that I might take at that time. So yeah, if you guys want, I will go ahead and go live during the FOMC. That will be in about 2 hours. So I'll come on just before the announcement, the rate announcement. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be, in about 2 hours. And then I will stay on through the press conference, and I'll play him live. So it'll be boring if you really don't want to hear what he has to say. I'm sorry, but I am going to be listening just to hear what he has to say. Okay, so Maria's saying 11 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. PST. Actually, it'll be 2 p.m. Eastern, which I believe will be 11 PST. Is that right? Yes. Yeah. So I think you've got the numbers right. Just flip-flop the time zone. It's 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific. Okay? All right, guys. I will jump on here a little before 2 p.m. Eastern, and I'll go live again. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you. Safe trading. Stay flat if you can. If you choose to get into something, try to make it quick. Don't get stuck sideways. All right. Take care, everyone. See you in about 2 hours. Bye for now.